Hey, my name is Rudy Walker. I'm here with the Mental Health Cypher, and pretty excited to be here with them. Welcome to the Mental Health Cypher. So my letter to self would be, hey, hang in there, love yourself, love other people, be patient with yourself, be patient with others, be compassionate with yourself, have compassion for yourself and have compassion for others, and don't stop growing, because growth is the most important thing that will get you to your goal. Pretty simple. Well, if I could be really random and if I can just get everything from source right now, I guess I would say I just want to circle back to the love, compassion, patience, and growth piece. I think love is one of those things that we kind of mark as this really cliche thing. And we talk about how it's important, and we talk about how it can save the world, and we talk about how it can end wars and all those things. So obviously it's turned into this cliche of a word, but it really is something that can center us, give us a North Star on how we interact with ourselves and with other people. So love, I think, is a super powerful word. It's a powerful emotion. It's a powerful tool. And I think if we realize that and we leverage that, then we can end wars, then we can achieve beautiful states and be in great relationships. We can have great friendships and mend fences with our loved ones, right? We can raise more competent, more emotionally intelligent children. We can really just have a better world. This world is it's falling apart when you really think of it. Take a step back, 30,000 foot view, and really look at where we are in the world. Folks are looking at other people less and less as humans, which is why it's so easy to try to annihilate, try to cast out the undesirable. So love, it's a powerful one, and it's actually one of my core values. Compassion is another one of my core values. So we talk about compassion for starving children in Africa. We talk about compassion for women who've been involved in substance abuse. We talk about having compassion for kids who've been abandoned by their parents. But we don't always talk about the compassion for people that are right across from us, right next to us, right around us. Just giving folks some grace, right? Giving them a little bit of grace to actually show up as their authentic selves, make mistakes, right? And challenge directly and care deeply. That's being radically candid, right? That's also having absolute compassion with the people in your life. And of course, we still want to have that compassion for the women who are survivors, women, men, and other individuals who are experiencing domestic violence, or individuals who are experiencing famine in third world and developing countries, and everything else that we put on the news and highlighted and elevated for the masses to see. Yeah, we still want to have compassion there. We still want to donate. We still want to jump in and help out. But again, we need to look right in front of and across and have compassion with those folks that are in our lives. And we need to have compassion for ourselves. That's something that I struggled with for a long time. Well, the reason why love is a core value of mine and compassion is a core value of mine, and patience and the growth is because those are all areas in my life that I've struggled with, and I finally feel like I'm getting to a place where I'm truly living those core values, not just for others, but for myself as well. So the other one that I mentioned was patience, right? Which is similar to compassion, but patience is just kind of taking a beat and just letting things run their natural course, right? And really just appreciating the journey, whether it's your journey or someone else's journey. A journey could be a journey to self-discovery. A journey could be the journey to a decision. A journey could be a journey to knowledge, and so many different things, right? But that patience is very important. It gives resolve, right? It literally calms the nervous system. It literally creates positive chemical changes in the body so that we're not anxious, overindulgent in habits, which is something that is really close to me. I guess I can expand on why at some point in this interview, but and then growth. Obviously, I think growth is the result that you get from all of those things when you're practicing them over and over and over and over again, and make it a habit and massaging that muscle of working towards love, compassion, patience, and growth. So how has being a Black queer man affected my mental health? I think it's had a pretty profound impact on my mental health. Any queer person in general kind of grows up not seeing the representation, not being able to, date who they want, and experience heartbreak at a really early age with the person that they want to experience it with. Then you throw on top of that being, Black queer person. Well, obviously the world is throwing macro insults and microaggressions on a constant basis. And while we've gotten a little bit better at that, imagine what it was like growing up in the 90s with that, right? Then you got your family policing your sexuality, whether it be, for some of us, it's our parents, right? For me, it was other family members like second cousins and I think kids at school eventually. And the interesting part about my queerness is that I'm not gay, right? I'm bi actually, but I've been in relationships with men for most of my adulthood. As a kid and an early adult, I always thought I would marry a woman, right? So I had all of these, like, what society would say would be conflicting perspectives or desires. And growing up in the 90s and being an adult in the early 2000s, like as a queer Black man, like, you're either gay or straight, right? Or the minute you mess with a dude, you're gay, right? And the reality is that's not the case. And I really feel like it stifled that whole mindset and the way society sees sexuality and queerness in general for Black men. I think had a really huge impact on how I lived my life, and some experiences that I feel like I didn't get to have and I probably won't have because I'm in a committed and loving relationship now, and that's fine. But I missed out on a lot of exploration that I think I could have had in totality, right? And I feel like I was put in this box. So when you get put in this box, it's almost like you begin to create coping mechanisms to help you kind of explore that box that you're in, right? And you get yourself into bad habits. You get yourself into bad situations. You get yourself into bad relationships. Because there's this constant feeling of I'm missing out on something, or there's this void that I'm not getting. So I think that void was created, and it also created a lot of anxiety in me. I feel like I had to defend myself a lot, right? Even with friends, like, it's almost like when I would tell people I was bi, like I would trip over the word because I was made to feel like I couldn't be, right? I could only be one thing. So it impacted me, and I developed a lot of feelings of loneliness, right? And it made the couple of relationships that I had with women a little as well. Like, I've dated a couple of women in serious relationships. I've had miscarriages with a couple of women, so I've experienced that part of myself to some extent. But in the relationships, because of how society views Black queer men and the pressures that society, I think, put on queer Black men, I wasn't even able to have fulfilling relationship with women because they projected everything that society had placed on queer Black men onto me as well. It was like a magnifying glass. I got into a couple situations where I felt like I had to, like, kind of finesse the truth, like, oh, I'm not interested in men anymore, right? I didn't feel good about that, right? Eventually I came clean, but just created a lot of unnecessary, like, anxiety, stress, and even with being an artist, like being a Black queer man who's an artist, I feel like it caused a lot of paralysis and hindered my growth as an artist. It's funny, like, the minute I said, I don't really care, I don't give a fuck, right? To be clear and blatant. Once I really came to that place, and it was really honestly just like 3 years ago, is when that freedom started allowing me to create more and create more. and I feel like traction has started to develop with my creative journey. So yeah, I'm not sure if I may have gone on a tangent there because I do that sometimes, but that's me just giving it to you. You know how like we didn't have a lot of, especially as queer Black men, or queer men in general, we didn't have a lot of like queer male role models because we lost millions, early on in the AIDS epidemic, right? Like my uncle, like he was a flaming queen, loved them to death, right? There were so many lessons he could have passed down to me, but he died at like 41, you know what I mean? From complications of AIDS. My other uncle was actually bi, and I didn't learn till later on, like also died of the virus. And these men who could have been absolute mentors to me, not only were destroyed into other queer men, right? Not only were destroyed by the AIDS epidemic, but also destroyed by the crack epidemic in there and the heroin. Like there's just so many things that when you think about the Black community and Black and brown community being impacted by, it's almost like double down on what queer Black men and just queer people in general, because we're just already marginalized. And the cool thing about that is that we're the next generation. We've been able to gain so much experience. We're able to have children, raise families, get married. So we're able to show the next generation a more positive way. And en masse, we're a very successful group of people, right? So we're able to show them images of success and queerness existing together. And so I can only imagine what it's going to be like 4 generations from now. So I hold on to that, That's a really good question. And it's funny, I thought about this like a couple months ago, actually. I was like, because, I came out on social media, like I call it what do they call, like a soft launch. It was just like, here's my partner. It's obvious that he's my partner, right? Then like reposting LGBTQIA stuff. So my initial answer is I don't know, because I've always, so in addition to feeling like I really didn't belong in the heteronormative world quite well, I've always felt, and I've been trying to decide with my therapist if it's a me thing or if it's a real thing. I've almost felt a little like ostracized by like the queer community, mainly like queer men. Like I don't have a queer brotherhood. I've got one really good like queer male friend and queer Black male friend, and we hit a bump in the road, and recently we got through it, and I think we're good. But he's the only queer male friend I have. Honest, when I got with my partner, I saw how he had these really deep relationships with these queer men, right? And I started asking myself, damn, why don't I have that, right? And then I said, my answer to myself, well, like, is it because I'm queer, I'm not gay, right? I say I'm bi because it's the only thing I can really hang on to, but shit, like I'll try anything, right? Like it's hard. I've always struggled with putting myself in that box. So it's always been difficult to find that community, I feel like. And then I think the way that I carry myself and the way that I converse sometimes, I think in my experience, hasn't always been well received. And I'm a dork. Like I'm an absolute dork. I'm a sexy dork, but I'm a dork, right? And sometimes it's hard to find that in the community, or at least it's been hard for me to find that in the community in the Mid-Atlantic. And I've often asked myself, like, okay, maybe I do need like another city like a San Francisco or an Atlanta or a New York or a London to find my community. But I've grown to love Richmond. And the really cool thing is I've grown to love my partner's friends. I found community in them, but they're not artists. So when we get to the, what does the queer artist community look like? I think that there are queer artists out there here in Richmond. I could name a few. Do we have absolute community? I don't think so, but I don't think that the system at large has been designed to facilitate that. So it makes me think in this very moment, like, how can I? you know, because I'm very much so like, well, if it's a hole in the market, then, you know, and not even coming from like the entrepreneurial space, it's a hole in the market, right? A hole in our milieu, then how can I fill it? My direct answer, that was my long answer, but my direct answer is, I don't think that there are queer artists here in Richmond. I don't think that there's community amongst them enough, especially like high caliber artists. I think so, because I used to write about other people's experience. I used to write about experiences that I, you know, would fictionalize. When I started thinking about my own experiences, obviously my sexuality was in those lyrics, right? The pain that some of the relationships that I was in created. So I think it gave me a little bit more comfort in being able to just stand in my truth. So absolutely. And then, you know, even like meeting, I remember when I had one of our first meetings with Will and Youth, when I started working with the music shop. I think we talked a little bit about my sexuality. It was such a relief because, full disclosure, I'll be 39 in October. So 20 years ago, when I started working with like producers, and I would work with a lot of rappers, that's, you know, Black R&B artists, that's what you do. Like they were homophobic. So it was almost like a new generation of people. So I couldn't be myself. So it was such a relief to be able, through the music in general, to be able to say, wow, like these guys don't give a fuck about who I fuck, who I like. You know what I mean? Like, and I got those vibes immediately, and I was like, okay, now's the time to really be the artist that I want to be. So it's through the songs as well as just the sheer nature of being in music now and not having. I can only imagine what it had been like if, let's just say, I got a record deal at 20 years old and the pressures that I would have been under to be somebody who I wasn't. So, you know, so it's just, it's a really beautiful thing. So the music has helped for sure. The songs, the writing, but also the new relationships within music that I formed that really helped me be comfortable. You know, you said safe space earlier as a joke, but really honestly, like, I feel like, you know, working with the music shop and Center and, you know, all the folks who were involved has created a pretty safe space for me in general. Yeah, so LGBTQIA artists it's funny, I think we grow up being put in boxes, right? And then we turn into these whole human beings who, you know, we say we show up as our authentic selves. But I think we also create boxes within our community. And, you know, whether it's, you know, we got all these labels: Butch Queen, Butch Femme, Circuit Queen, Bear, what's the other one? Otter, you know, it's probably so many more in the lesbian community as well, right? And then we throw on it all the other letters that we have, right? Yeah, it's great because we're able to call a thing, and we're able to express it to people outside of our community. I think it's important that we don't lose track of the fact that we are people. We are a dynamic people. We can be multiple things at once, all right? And we can interact with people who are multiple things at once. And that's really just the beauty of life. And as an LGBTQI artist, you don't have to make one type of music, right? And if anybody tells you that you do, that's a lie, right? You don't have to only play for queer crowds. There are so many different audiences out there. I think what's really important is just like any artist, like, think really hard about what your audience look like, where they are, right? What do they think like? Where are they geographically? What are the demographics, right? What do they think psychographically? Because this is the community that you want to build. These are the genuine, like, if you think about performing in a big stadium, just imagine being around a bunch of your friends. Like, you want those people to be in the audience cheering. So think really hard about who you literally want to surround yourself by or with, and double down on that. And get off the high horse if you're on one. Like, get out there, shake hands, kiss baby, and really, like, be a human being. Like, long gone soon, very soon are the days where you can just exist on the internet and do your thing. Like, you got to get out there and be a part of your audience's life and create experiences for them, because people more now than ever are really looking for that connection. I would also say, again, love, patience, compassion, and growth. I think those are really like important core values. They're mine. Anybody that I work with, I kind of preach it to them. And think about your business. You know, we're creative, so it's really difficult to want to focus on all of the like boring administrative stuff, but having your business in order is really important. I think when you start to get your business in order, you open yourself up to even bigger opportunities, and surround yourself by people who actually care about you and share your core values. All right. What's next for me? Well, hopefully a lot. So right now we're working on doubling down on our merch, which it actually circles right back to like the core values. So working on some merch that kind of highlights and like amplifies the core values. And we're also working on building like a actual like full brand for everything that I'm doing. Well, we've got like It's Rudy Walker as a musician, like making his brand as like an actual brand. Fashion design is something that I want to get into. Only people don't know it, but it was actually my first love. I used to design early on. My mom was so impressed with my design. She would constantly give me markers and sketch paper and be like, "Oh, sketch something for mommy," you know what I mean? So definitely want to get into that, and just making music. It's just, I want to build a catalog of this 200 plus songs within the next couple of years. So over the next year, we releasing like 26 songs, starting at the beginning of January. That was the goal. We're at 7 songs now. In about a week, we'll have 8 songs released. So a song every 2 weeks. We got Love Fest 3 coming up. That's a show that I've been curating with the music shop. And so we got that. Some other performances throughout the summer. And traveling is another big piece for me. So more travel. Hopefully expanding my family soon. Having kids are really important to me, and so that's gonna happen, and building my family and being happy, loving myself, being patient with myself, right? Being compassionate with myself, and just continuing to grow. So this experience with the mental health Cypher has been an absolute enjoyable one. I feel like my cup is full for the day. I didn't even drink any coffee. I was up until 5 a.m. I was tired when I woke up, but this really gave me like a nice surge of like, what is it? Is it dopamine or oxytocin or both of them? I don't know. I felt like I bonded a little bit, so I got a little bonding chemical going on. I got that surge of dopamine, so I'm feeling real charged up and ready to attack the rest of the day. And the conversation was definitely top tier. I feel like I was able to show up, and you know that's a huge. I have to give a huge shout out to the Mental Health Cypher for being able to create that space for folks, especially queer folks. So, yeah, thank you.
Hold my love, hold it tight, 'cause you don't know when it could slip away. Contribution, I demand, 'cause that's the only way I'm gonna stay. Yeah, life with me can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. No, locked and loaded communication can make us or break us apart. Yeah, you said that you wanted it, so act like it. Well, you better act like it. You say you manifested, so please don't neglect it. We gotta protect it. This love right here.